Hello students, welcome to Science Learning Gateway. I hope you all are doing good. So uh, today we are going to discuss class 10 science chapter number 11, human eye and colorful world. This chapter is from physics. You all know that. I have uploaded the part 1 of this chapter. In that I have covered human eye. The students who are from CBSE, no need to go through the part 1 video, who are going to write the exam in 2001, because that human eye is removed from your syllabus because of the COVID. But the other board student like Karnataka board or Maharashtra board and all, they have to read the full chapter, human eye and the colorful world, right? So today we are going to discuss the second part of the chapter, that is colorful world. Okay, in that we are going to discuss about the formation of rainbow, why the color of the sky is blue. Those phenomena we'll read in that part. So let's start with our discussion. Before starting, guys, I have a small request from you all. If you are really liking my tutorial, then please click on the like button and share it with your friends also. Don't forget to click on the bell icon so that whenever I will be uploading a new video, you'll get the notification for that. And if you are new to my channel, then please subscribe to it. Okay, so let's start with our discussion of colorful world. And the CBSE student, please go through this video because this will be helpful for you for the board exam. Many questions are asked from that, and the other state board like Karnataka board students, for you people also, this chapter is very important because many of the questions are asked from this chapter. Correct? So let's start with our discussion. From here we'll start refraction of light through a prism. The second part of this chapter, that is colorful world. Okay. Refraction of light through a prism. In the last chapter, light reflection and refraction, we have seen refraction of light through a glass slab. But over here, we'll see the refraction of light through a glass prism. What is a glass prism? If you went to your physics lab, then over there you can see that glass prism. It's like a triangular shape of glass like structure. That is called a prism. So what is prism? First of all, we'll read that. What is prism? It is a pyramidal piece of glass with two triangular bases and three rectangular lateral surfaces. These surfaces are inclined to each other. You can see like this. It is like a triangular type of a substance which is made up of glass. That is called prism. And what is angle of prism? The angle between its two lateral faces is called the angle of prism. For example, in this diagram, you can see this angle A. It is called the angle of prism. The angle between the two lateral faces. These are the two lateral faces of the prism. So this is called the angle of prism. Next, we have angle of deviation. What is angle of deviation? It is the angle between the incident ray and the emergent ray. In the last chapter, when we have read about the refraction of light through a glass prism, we have seen that incident ray and the emergent ray are parallel to each other, right? So angle of deviation is the angle between the incident ray and the emergent ray. You can see in this diagram, this is our incident ray, right? And the ray this one is your refracted ray, and this ray is called the emergent ray. This ray is the emergent ray. So the angle between, if you will extend this incident ray and the emergent ray, they will meet at this point, right? So this angle, the angle between the incident ray and the emergent ray, is called angle of deviation. You can see over there, it's marked over there D, angle D. This is called angle of deviation. So like this, we have over there angle of incidence, angle of refraction, angle of emergence, and angle of deviation also, and angle of prism also. So let's start with our next topic. Dispersion of light, dispersion of white light by a glass prism. This is important. Okay, so in this part, colorful world, we are going to read about the three important phenomena. First one is your dispersion of light. Second one is your scattering of light, and in third we'll read about the total internal refraction. If you have the good concept of all the three chapters, then it will be very good for you while writing the answers of the questions about the reasoning question answers. Then your concept will be clear and you can write the answers easily. So this topic, dispersion of white light by a glass prism. Suppose this is our glass prism, okay, and this is a white light. Example of white light is sunlight. Sunlight is an example of white light. If we will pass this white light through the prism, what will happen? Refraction will take place. Okay, the light is not going in the straight direction like this, but the light will get refracted. Suppose this is the normal. Okay, this is the normal 90-degree. The light will get diffracted from air to glass. It is going from the rarer medium to the denser medium. It is going, so it will refract. Okay, so the white light will split into 7 colors. After passing from the glass prism, it will split into 7 colors, and the band of 7 color can be obtained on the screen, and that band of 7 color is called the spectrum. So what are the colors which we get after the splitting of white light? Red, violet, yellow, where is your that violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. These 7 colors will get on the screen, and this 7 colors are called the spectrum. Okay, so when we will pass white light through the glass prism, the white light will split into 7 colors. The refraction of light will take place. Okay, and over there we'll get the 7 colors, and that is called dispersion. So what is dispersion? When white light is passed through a glass prism, it split into its 7 constituent colors to form a band of 7 colors, and this phenomena is called dispersion. Dispersion means what? Splitting. White light is splitting into 7 colors. Whenever the white light will be there and it will pass through the glass prism, it will split into 7 colors, and that is called dispersion. In short, you can write this definition also. The splitting of white light into its component color is called dispersion. But dispersion is very important definition from an exam point of view. This question is generally asked, what is dispersion, or define dispersion. So what you will write, you can write any of the two. The splitting of white light into its component colors or into 7 colors is called dispersion. Or you can write this one also. When the white light is passed through a glass prism, it splits into its 7 constituent colors, and this phenomena is called dispersion. So splitting of white light into 7 color is called dispersion, right? So what are the various colors which you can see in this dispersion process? The various colors which we can see in the dispersion process are violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. You can remember this word Vibgyor. If you remember this word Vibgyor, you can write the colors easily. This question is also asked, name the colors which are present in the colors which we get after the dispersion of the white light, or which are present in the rainbow. Then you can write these colors: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. Okay, next we'll talk about angle of deviation. Just now we have seen that angle of deviation is the angle between the incident ray and the emergent ray, right? So angle of deviation is inversely proportional to wavelength. Angle of deviation is inversely proportional to wavelength, and we used to represent this wavelength with lambda. Okay, this is a symbol for wavelength, is inversely proportional to wavelength. Suppose in this violet and red color, whose wavelength is more? The wavelength of red color is more, and the wavelength of violet color is less. Okay, the wavelength of red color will always be more, and the wavelength of violet color will always be less. If the red color has more wavelength, has the longest wavelength, then what will happen? Angle of deviation will be less. They are inversely proportional to each other. Wavelength more, angle of deviation is less. So we can see that red color is deviating the least. It is bending in least. Angle of deviation is very less for red color. Okay, it is bending very less. But the violet color is bending the most. The angle of deviation is more for violet color. So what we can say, that the wavelength of violet color is less, right? So wavelength of violet color is less, so its angle of deviation will be less, it will bend less. But the red color, as it is having more wavelength, the angle of deviation will be less and it will bend less also. So you have to remember, angle of deviation is inversely proportional to wavelength. And one more point you have to remember over there, that red color has the longest wavelength and violet color has the smallest wavelength. Okay, next, the red light bends as it has the largest, or the red light bends least. You can add over there least, LEAST. Okay, the red color bends the least as it has the largest or the longest wavelength. You can see the bending or the deviation is very less in red color. Okay, but the violet color is bending the most, right? The violet color bends the most as it has the smallest wavelength. These 2 points you should remember. Okay, red color has more wavelength, so it will bend least, and violet color has less wavelength, so it will bend the most. And you have to remember, angle of deviation is inversely proportional to wavelength. Correct? And the definition of dispersion. Next, you can see, when white light is passed through this glass frame, it splits into the 7 beautiful colors, from violet to the red, violet, indigo, orange, green, yellow, red. So these 7 colors we can see when white light will pass through the glass prism. Okay? Now, Sir Isaac Newton. In physics, we have to read about Sir Isaac Newton. So in this chapter, a little bit, one topic is there related to Isaac Newton. So what he did, let's read about his discovery, what he did over there. He was the first who obtained spectrum of sunlight by using glass prisms. So he was the first person who did that experiment. He passed the sunlight through the glass prism and he obtained the seven beautiful colors on the screen. He tried to split the spectrum of white light by using another similar prism, but he could not get any more colors. What he did, first he used one prism and he split the white light into seven colors. Then again what he thought that, can I put one more prism so that splitting will be more in that case? So he has put one similar prism in front of that prism, but he could not get more colors by using that prism. Instead he got some different thing in that. So what he did, when he placed the similar prism in front of that prism, what happens, the light rays are again meeting at a point, and again the seven colors are reuniting, recombining to give us the white color on the screen. First of all, when he passed the white color through one prism, what happens, the seven beautiful colors he obtained on the screen. But in the second prism, when the light rays will pass, again we'll get the white color on the screen. Recombination of color can be obtained on the screen. He repeated the experiment using second prism in inverted position. You can see the glass prism is kept in the inverted position. Both the prisms are just opposite to each other. Okay, it allowed all the colors of the spectrum to pass through the second prism. He found that white light emerges on the other side of screen when all the light rays are passing through the second prism. What happens, the colors are recombining, they are combining together to form white light on the screen. Single color is obtained after the lights are passing from the second prism. Okay, so he concluded that sun is made up of seven visible colors. And what are the colors which are present in the sunlight? Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. So these are the colors which are present in the sunlight. So what you have to remember about Sir Isaac Newton, that he was the first person who proved that sunlight is made up of seven colors. Okay, that is Vibgyor. The seven colors you have to remember over there. Next we'll read about total internal reflection. Do you know what is total internal reflection? Okay, now we'll start with the total internal reflection. Reflection we have already learned in the last chapter, right? When incident ray will pass through that normal, the reflected ray will be there. That is called the reflection, right? The total internal reflection. What is this? That we will read now. When light enters obliquely from a denser medium to a rarer medium and the angle of incidence exceeds the critical angle, the light reflects in the denser medium. This is called total internal reflection. So what is total internal reflection? When light should enter from the denser medium to the rarer medium. Denser medium, for example, you can take water, and rarer medium you can take air. So when light will enter from water to air, what will happen? Angle of incidence will become more than the critical angle. Okay, what is critical angle? That also we'll read. The light, then what will happen? The light will reflect in the denser medium. The light rays will reflect itself in the denser medium, in the water medium. So this is called your total internal reflection. We'll understand this through the diagram, but let's discuss the two conditions necessary for total internal reflection. If these two conditions are satisfied, then only total internal reflection will take place. First of all, light should enter obliquely from a denser to a rarer medium. Means in case of total internal reflection, light should always enter from a denser medium to a rarer medium. Okay, just opposite can't take place. From rarer to denser medium it should not take place. Light should always enter from denser to the rarer medium. And the second point, angle of incidence should exceed the critical angle. Means angle of incidence should be more than the critical angle. Angle of incidence should be more than the critical angle the light reflects in the denser medium. Then only the reflection will take place in the denser medium. So these are the two conditions. Light should enter from a denser medium to a rarer medium, and angle of incidence should be more than the critical angle. Then only total internal reflection will take place. Now what is this critical angle? The angle of incidence for which the angle of refraction is 90 degree. Okay, the angle of incidence means the angle of incidence when the angle of refraction will become 90 degree, that angle of incidence is called critical angle. Means at some point when, because of the angle of incidence, the angle of refraction will become 90 degree, that angle of incidence is called the critical angle. We'll understand this through a diagram. Wait, first diagram you can see, this is the incident ray. This is the incident ray. Okay, and this is your air medium, and this blue color, this is called the water medium. This is the line which is separating that. Okay, so when light ray will enter from a denser medium to rarer medium, air is our rarer medium and water is our denser medium, Correct? So when light ray will enter from water to air, from denser medium to rarer medium, this is the incident ray. We will draw one normal like this straight line. The angle between the incident ray and the normal is called angle of incidence. So this will be I. When the light will enter from water to air, refraction will take place, right? It will, when in the last chapter in light reflection and refraction, we have read that when light ray will enter from the denser medium to rarer medium, what will happen? The light ray will move towards the normal or away from the normal? It will move away from the normal, not towards the normal. It will move away from the normal like this. Okay, it will move away from the normal. So when light ray will enter from water to air, the light ray will move away from the normal. This is the refracted ray. The angle between the normal and the refracted ray is called angle of refraction, R. Okay, this is angle of refraction. This is the first case. Okay. Now, in the second case, what will happen? If we will increase this angle of incidence, if we will increase, then what will happen? The refracted ray will also move. Okay, it will move like this. If we will increase the angle of incidence, it will move, the refracted ray will move like this. Suppose we'll increase the angle of incidence to this point, then what will happen? The refracted ray will come towards this line. It will make 90 degree with the normal. Okay, suppose we increase the angle of incidence to such a point that the refracted ray is making 90 degree with the normal. Okay, the angle of refraction has become 90 degree at this point. So this angle of incidence for which angle of refraction is 90 degree is called critical angle. Over there you can represent that with C. This is the angle of incidence for which the angle of refraction is becoming 90 degree. It is called the angle of refraction. Now what happens? If we will increase the critical angle now also. Now if we again increase the critical angle now, what will happen? This refracted ray will move like this. It will come down. Okay. Means it will again come in the denser medium, in the water medium. You can see if we are increasing the angle of incidence, if we are increasing the critical angle, so what will happen? The refraction will take place in the denser medium, in the water. The light of ray will come down. So this is your total internal reflection. Total internal means inside reflection. The reflection is again taking place over there. The refracted ray is coming down. So this is called your total internal reflection. Okay, so once again we'll repeat this one. You can check this diagram also. Glass is our denser medium and air is our rarer medium. So light ray is entering from the denser medium to rarer medium, from glass to air. This is the incident ray. Angle between the incident ray and the normal is called angle of incidence. When it will pass from when the light ray will go from the denser medium to the rarer medium, what will happen? The light ray will move away from the normal, right? This is the refracted ray. It is called angle of refraction. It will move away from the normal. If we increase the angle of incidence, one point will come when the angle of refraction will become 90 degree. Okay, and in the third case, if we will increase the, and this angle of incidence is called the critical angle. Now also if we will increase the angle of incidence, what will happen? The refracted ray will come inside, means the reflection will take place like this. We have read now that angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection in the laws of reflection. So what will happen? When we will increase the critical angle, the reflection will take place internally inside the denser medium. So that is called your total internal reflection. In this case, angle of incidence will become equal to angle of reflection. So this is called your total internal reflection. So remember this definition of total internal reflection. When light will enter obliquely from denser medium to rarer medium, the angle of incidence exceeds critical angle. The angle of incidence will exceed means it will become more than the critical angle, and the light reflects in the denser medium. You can see that the reflection is taking place in the denser medium, in the water medium. This is called total internal reflection. And what are the two conditions necessary for total internal reflection? Light should enter from the denser medium to the rarer medium, and angle of incidence should be greater than the critical angle. Okay, so these are the two conditions necessary for total internal reflection. Now, our next topic is rainbow, right? You can see the rainbow. See, so beautiful picture of rainbow we can see on the sky after the rain shower. When the rain will over, sometimes we can see the rainbow in the sky. And that time sunlight is also there. We can see the sunlight also in the sky that time, and rainbow can also be seen. So this rainbow is made up of 7 colors. What we have read in that Vibgyor, in the spectrum of light we have read, those 7 colors can be seen in the rainbow, right? So now, what is rainbow? How rainbow is formed, and what are the phenomena which are involved in the rainbow? That we'll read in this topic. So first of all, what is rainbow? A rainbow is a natural spectrum appearing in the sky after a rain shower. So what is rainbow? It is a natural spectrum of the colors which will appear in the sky after a rain shower. After a rain shower, we can see the rainbow in the sky. It is caused by dispersion of sunlight by tiny water droplets present in the atmosphere. So how it is caused? It is caused by the which process? By which phenomena? Dispersion of sunlight. Dispersion of sunlight means splitting of sunlight by the tiny water droplets. In the sky, water droplets are present which will act like the prism. Okay, when sunlight will pass through those water droplets, the sunlight will split into the 7 colors, and those 7 colors can be seen on the sky present in the atmosphere. A rainbow is always formed in a direction opposite to that of the sun. Means suppose our direction of the sun is at that time in the west direction, so rainbow will be formed in the east direction. It will always form in the direction opposite to that of the sun. So what is rainbow? It is a natural spectrum appearing in the sky after a rain shower, and it is caused by dispersion of sunlight with tiny water droplets present in the atmosphere. Now we'll read how rainbow is formed. Formation of rainbow. The water droplets act like small prisms. Water droplets are present in the sky that time, right? The water droplets or the rain droplets, they will be present. Okay, so what happens? The water droplets act like a small prism. You know that in the sky the water droplets will be there like this. The water droplets will be there. So they will act like what? They will act like the glass prism. What we have read in the refraction of light through the prism. Like the triangular glass prism, the water droplets will act like that. They refract and disperse the incident sunlight, then reflect it internally. What will happen when sunlight will pass through this water droplet? What will happen? Dispersion of light will take place. Refraction will occur like this, and dispersion will also occur. Bands of sunlight will be formed over there. Bands of the colors, 7 colors will be formed on the water droplet. After that, what will happen? Okay, then it again, and when it comes reflect it internally. First refraction will take place, and after that reflection will take place. Internal reflection will take place. Like this, the rays of the light will come out from that, and finally refract it again when it comes out of the rainbow, and again the raindrop, from the raindrop the light rays will come out. Due to dispersion of light and internal reflection, different colors reach the observer's eye. So there are 3 phenomena which occur during the rainbow. First one is dispersion, refraction, and total internal reflection. Because of the 3 phenomena, rainbow is formed. Okay, so once again we'll read what happens in the formation of the rainbow, and what are the 3 phenomena which are involved in formation of rainbow. Dispersion, second, so dispersion means splitting of sunlight into the 7 colors. Refraction and total internal reflection. First of all, the water droplets will act like the prism. The raindrops or the water droplet, they will act like the prism. They refract and disperse the incident sunlight, then reflect. First of all, what will happen when the, suppose this is a raindrop, when the sunlight will incident on it, first of all dispersion will take place, refraction will take place, and the sunlight will split into the 7 color. Refract and disperse. Refraction will also take place, and dispersion will also take place. Then reflect it internally, and after that reflection will take place. Okay, suppose this is a 90-degree angle, the reflection will take place, and finally refract it again and again. One more time refraction will take place, and it will come out from the raindrop, from water to air, from the denser medium to the rarer medium. It will come out, and we can see the rainbow in the sky. Due to dispersion of light and internal reflection, different colors reach the observer eye. Dispersion means splitting of white light, and because of the total internal reflection, the different colors we can see on the eyes. The red color appears on the top and violet at the bottom. Okay, since we know that pattern Vibgyor, so red color will appear at the top of the rainbow. You can see in this diagram over there, the red color appears at the top and the violet color will be at the bottom. This is the pattern of the rainbow. Now, what are the phenomena which are involved in rainbow formation? Dispersion, refraction, and internal reflection. Through this diagram also you can understand. Suppose this is the raindrop. Okay, the raindrop, sunlight is coming from here. This is, over there we have the sun. Okay, over there we have the sun. Over there we have the sun. From there the sunlight is coming out. This is the incident ray. Okay, and from air to water, it is entering from rarer medium to the denser medium. Okay, then what will happen? Refraction will take place. This is the refracted ray, and refraction is taking place, and dispersion will also take place. The 7 color we can see on the inside the raindrop. After that, total internal reflection will take place. Total internal reflection, we know that when the light ray will come from should enter from the denser medium to the rarer medium. In this case also, water is our denser medium and air is the rarer medium. So light rays are coming from the denser to the rarer medium. So over there, total internal reflection will take place. Okay, and after that, the light rays can be seen on the sky. This pattern like this, it will can be seen on the sky. The red color will appear at the top and violet color will appear at the bottom. So if in the exam it will ask how the rainbow is formed, then you have to write the answer from here to here. Okay, and you can mention over there that three phenomena are involved in rainbow formation: dispersion, refraction, and total internal reflection. Right? So this was all about your rainbow. Next, we'll read about atmospheric refraction. Okay, what is, and many questions are related to this topic, atmospheric refraction. So what is atmospheric refraction? The refraction by different layers of the atmosphere is called atmospheric refraction. You know that in the atmosphere different layers are present, like hydrosphere, lithosphere, mesosphere, etc. Different layers of atmosphere are there. So the refraction which is taking place by the different layers of the atmosphere is called atmospheric refraction. Remember this definition. First we'll read about the twinkling of stars. You know that the stars twinkle in the sky during the night. You all have seen the stars. They will twinkle at the night during the star. So why the twinkling of stars occur? Why the stars twinkle? Stars can twinkle, but the planets, they cannot twinkle. Stars can twinkle, planets cannot twinkle. Why it is so? Now, we'll read about that. You know that the stars are very far from us. The size of the star is big, but they are very far from us. So that they appear to us very small in size. They appear to us very small in size. But planets, they are smaller than the star, but they are close to us. So, but they appear little larger to us. They appear big to us. But stars are very far from us, so they appear as a point source. Now we'll read about the phenomena which is associated with twinkling of stars. Why do stars twinkle? So you have to write this answer for that. So understand this answer because this question is there in your exercise question answers also. The twinkling of star is due to atmospheric refraction of light. This is the main reason of twinkling of star. Why stars twinkle? Because of atmospheric refraction of starlight. Okay, atmospheric refraction of light. So if one marks question it will come, why do stars twinkle? Then you have to write this answer. Stars twinkle due to atmospheric refraction of starlight. Due to atmospheric refraction of starlight. You have to remember the word atmospheric refraction. Stars are very far from us, so they behave as point source of light. Just now I have told you that stars are very far from us. So behave like what? They behave like a point source of light. They are very small in size. Since the physical condition of the Earth's atmosphere are not constant, the light from the star appear to come from different directions. Okay, you also know that in Earth's atmosphere, the condition is not so constant. Sometimes it will be more, sometimes it will be less. So the light which is coming from the star, it appears like it appears from the different direction. Maybe it is from this direction, maybe it is from this direction, maybe it is from this direction. So the light which is coming from the star is appearing like it is coming from the different direction. This results in fluctuations of apparent position of the star. Because of that, the directions of the light, it appears that the star position we cannot locate, we cannot say that it is in the fixed position. We can, because of the direction of, suppose the light is coming from here, so we know that we can say that the star is over there. Suppose the direction is this one of this light, we can see the light over there, we can say the star is over there. Because of the different direction of light, the apparent position of the star can be seen. Means not its actual position, we can say that apparent means different position of the stars. The amount of light coming from the star also vary due to changing refractive index of the atmosphere. Okay, this is also one of the reason. The light which is coming from the star, it also varies, it also differs because of the changing refractive index of the atmosphere. The star appears bright when more light from the star reaches our eyes, and same star appears dull when less amount of light reaches our eyes. Both these effects are responsible for twinkling of stars. Sometimes what happens? Sometimes when more light will come from the star and it will reach our eyes, that time the star will look like very bright. And sometimes what happens, very less light will come from the star, and that time we can say that the star will appear dull to us. Because of this bright and dull light, the star we feel that the star is twinkling in the sky. Because of that, we can say that stars twinkle in the sky. So once again we'll repeat this one. Why do stars twinkle? Okay, so stars twinkle because of atmospheric refraction of starlight, right? So what I have told you now, that stars appear as point source to us. They are very far from us, so they appear as point source to us. Okay, suppose we are standing over there, right? So since it will appear like a point source, so only one single ray of light will reach to our eyes. Okay, but as there is atmosphere, air around us, right? So air is not constant at all, the wind is continuously moving. So when the air will enter, or when the light will enter from the rarer medium to the denser medium, what will happen? Bending of light will take place, refraction of light will take place, and the air is also not constant at all. So what will happen? The ray sometime it will form like a wave type of structure. Sometime it will be more, sometime it will be less. Because of that, the stars appear twinkle to us. It will be flittering. Okay, because of the air, because of the atmosphere, there will be flittering of the stars. Because of that, the stars twinkle. So it twinkles because of atmospheric refraction of light, and you can say that stars are very far from us. They appear like point source of light, so only one ray of light will come to us, and that ray of light will take bending will occur, atmospheric refraction will occur. Because of that, sometimes more light will reach to our eyes, sometimes less light will reach to us. Because of that, the we can see that stars twinkle in the sky, right? Next, why do planets do not twinkle? This question can also be asked, why planets do not twinkle. Okay, this is the answer for why stars twinkle. Now, why planets do not twinkle? Now we'll discuss that one. You know that planets are small in size, but they are close to us, so they appear big to us. Okay, planets are very close to us, so they appear big to us. But why do planets do not twinkle? Planets do not have their own light, right? They reflect the light of the sun. So planets are closer to Earth and are seen as extended source of light. Just now we have read that stars are point source of light, but these planets, they are extended source of light. Planets are extended source of light, means from there many rays of light will come out. Means hundred of rays of light can come out from the extended source. They appear bigger. That is collection of large number of point size sources of light, means there will be many small sources of light will be there, so many rays of light will come out from the planet. Therefore the total amount of light entering our eyes from an all individual point source will nullify the twinkling effect. If so many light rays will come out and reach to our eyes, what will happen? It will cancel out each other effect, cancel out the each other's effect, and it will not twinkle at all. So why do planets do not twinkle? We'll revise it once again. So just now I've told you that planets are big in size. Okay, they are extended source of light and they are very close to us. That's why planets appear bigger to us. They are very close to us. That's why they are the extended source of light. They appear bigger to us. Since they are the extended source of light, since they are the extended source of light, what will happen? Many light rays will come from that planet. Many light rays will come from that planet. When these light rays will reach to us, what will happen? Suppose this is our atmosphere and we are standing over there. When these light rays will reach to us, they will cancel out each other's effect. The light rays, when they will refract, they will cancel out each other's effect, and thus then it will nullify the twinkling effect. Twinkling effect will be cancelled because of the so many light rays which are coming from the planet. So this was the answer for why do planets do not twinkle. Next we'll move towards the next topic, advanced sunrise and delayed sunset. Sometimes what happens, when the sunrise will occur in the morning, the sun will appear 2 minutes earlier, and when sunset will occur, that time the sun will set after 2 minutes. So why this advanced sunrise and delayed sunset occurs, that topic we'll study over there. This question is also asked in the exam. What is the reason for the advanced sunrise and the delayed sunset? The sun is visible to us about 2 minutes before the actual sunrise. Okay, means before the actual sunrise only we can see the sun. Before means about 2 minutes before the actual sunrise we can see the sun in the sky, and about 2 minutes after the actual sunset, and we can see the sun after the sunset also, about 2 minutes after the sunset. And what is the reason for that? Because of atmospheric refraction. The advanced sunrise and the delayed sunset is because of atmospheric refraction. By actual sunrise we mean the actual crossing of the horizon by the sun. Okay, actual sunrise means, what is the horizon? Suppose this is the sun. Okay, this is the earth where you are standing. Okay, and the line from the eyes, you look at the sun, and this line it is called the horizon. Suppose it is a building over there and here is the sun. So from there, this is the horizon. Okay, what we call is horizon. So what happens? By actual sunrise, we mean the actual crossing of the horizon by the sun. Means when actually the sun will rise, the sun will cross the horizon, right? The time difference between the actual sunset and the apparent sunset is about 2 minutes. Means actually when the sun will rise and at what time we will see the sun, is the time difference is between 2 minutes. Suppose this is the apparent position, so this is actual position of the sun, right? And over here we are standing on the earth. This is the observer. We will look at the sun over there. This is the apparent position of the sun. After 2 minutes only we can see the sun on the sky. The apparent flattering of the sun's disk at sunrise and sunset is also due to apparent atmospheric refraction. If the question will be asked what is the reason for the apparent flattering of the sun's disk at the sunrise and sunset, then the answer will be atmospheric refraction. So this advanced sunrise and delayed sunset will occur because of atmospheric refraction. You have to remember that reason. Next phenomena what we will read now is scattering of light. Scattering means what? Spreading of light, right? The light will spread in different direction. That is called scattering of light. The spreading of light in various direction by colloidal particle is called scattering of light. Suppose this is a light rays. These are the light rays coming from any source, and over there we have different types of particle. When they will cross this particle, they will spread in different direction, right? The light rays will spread in different direction. This is called scattering of light. The spreading of light rays in various direction by the colloidal particle, it is called spreading of light. Scattering is inversely proportional to wavelength. Scattering of light will be inversely proportional to wavelength, and we used to represent wavelength with the symbol lambda, right? So if wavelength will be more, scattering will be less. If wavelength is more, scattering will be less. Scattering of light decreases with increase in wavelength. If the wavelength will be more, scattering will decrease, right? So what is Tyndall effect? Now we'll read about Tyndall effect. Tyndall effect you all have read in 9th standard also. The phenomenon of scattering of light by the colloidal particle is called Tyndall effect. This definition is also very important. Generally question is asked from this one also. Define Tyndall effect, or what is Tyndall effect, for 1 marks question. So you should remember this one. The phenomenon of scattering of light by the colloidal particle is called Tyndall effect. Suppose the one light ray is coming and over there some colloidal particles. For example, milk is kept in a glass. So the light ray, what it will do? The light ray, when it will enter into the glass, it will scatter itself. The phenomenon of scattering of light by the colloidal particle is called Tyndall effect. Now, we have given 2 examples of Tyndall effect over there, because in the exam, the examples of Tyndall effect are also asked. Write 1 example or 2 examples of Tyndall effect. The first one is, suppose one dark room is there, okay? In that dark room, one small hole is there. From that hole, if the sunlight will enter, when you look at the sunlight, you can see the dust particles also in that sunlight. Okay, that is the example of Tyndall effect, right? So when a beam of sunlight enters a smoke-filled room through a small hole, scattering of light makes the particles visible. Okay, when in a room, sunlight will enter through a small hole. The smoke particles can be seen on that light, on the sunlight, on the beam of sunlight. Scattering of light makes the particles visible. Because of scattering of light, because of Tyndall effect, the particles can be visible to us. Second one, Tyndall effect can also be observed when sunlight passes through a canopy of dense forest. Canopy of dense forest means if many trees will be present in the forest, if the sunlight will pass through that dense forest, here tiny water droplets in the mist scatter light on the trees. Small water droplets will be present. That tiny droplets of water will scatter those light. So in that also, in the forest also, we can see Tyndall effect, right? So colors of the scattered light depends on the size of the scattering particle. This is also important point. The color of the scattered light means the light which is scattered is having what type of color? It will depend on the size of the scattering particles. First of all, if the particles are very fine, the scatter mainly blue color short wavelength light. If the size of the particles are very fine, then which type of color will be scattered? Blue color will be scattered. If the particles are very large in size, then which color of light will be scattered? Red color, whose wavelength is larger or longer. And if the size of the particles are very large enough, then the sky appears white. And the size of the particles are very large, then what will happen? The sky will appear white to us. So you have to remember, if the particles are very small in size, then the color will be blue. If the particles are large in size, the color of the light will be red. And if the size of the particles are very large, then that time the sky will appear white to us. Now we'll read some of the questions which can be asked in your exam related to scattering of light. The first question is, why is the color of clear sky blue? Means why the color of the sky is blue? The upper layer of the atmosphere contains very fine particles of the water vapor and gases. Okay, you know that in the atmosphere which of the gases are present? Oxygen, nitrogen, whose size are very small. Okay, so these gases are present in the atmosphere whose size are very small. These particles are more effective in scattering of light of shorter wavelength, mainly blue, than larger wavelength. So the sky appears blue. Now what will happen when the sunlight will come and it will interact with these particles? When it will collide with these particles, what will happen? These particles, they will scatter which color of light? They will scatter blue color of light, because they can scatter the blue color of light, and the other color of light like red, yellow, orange, and they will be absorbed by the atmosphere. They will go into the atmosphere. So that's why, because they scatter the blue light, so the sky will appear blue to us. So this is a very easy answer you have to write, because the particles which are present in the atmosphere will scatter the blue color light. That's why the sky appears blue to us. So what is the answer? The upper layer of the atmosphere contain very small, very fine particles of water vapor and gases. These particles can scatter the light of very short wavelength. And which light is carrying very short wavelength? Blue color. So they will appear this blue color light, so the sky appears blue to us. Next question, why danger signs are made of red in color? You can see when many in roads and all, that danger signs are made. Why those danger signs are made of red in color? Red is the least scattered color. When we have read that refraction through a glass prism, that time we have read that the red light bends the least, or it is scattered the least. Okay, it is least scattered by fog and smoke, and can be seen in same color over a long distance. Okay, so during the fog or during the smoke also, this light will be least scattered, and it can be seen from a long distance. So danger signals are made in red color. The vehicles which are coming from the long distance, they can also see the dangers. They can also see the danger sign, that there is some danger, we should not go near to that. Because of that, red color is used to make the danger signs, because it is the least scattered color. Means it will be least scattered by the fog and smoke. So that's why it is made of red in color. Next question, why clouds appear white? You have seen in the sky the clouds are of white color. Why it is so? Clouds are formed by water vapors. Yes, very true. The clouds are formed by the water vapors. Water vapor condense to form water droplets. After that, what happens? The water vapor, they will condense to form the water droplets, which then only the rain will come. Due to large size of the droplets, all color of light are scattered, and the clouds appear white. Since the water droplets, when the sunlight will fall on the water droplets, what will happen? All the light colors will be scattered, because the water droplets are very big in size. Just now we have read, if the size of the particles are very large, then what will happen? All the colors will be scattered, and the cloud will appear white to us. This is the reason for that one. And the last question, appearance of sky to an astronaut in the space. In the space, you know, there is no atmosphere. So how the sky will look to an astronaut in the space? The sky would appear dark to an astronaut in the space, as scattering is not very prominent at such high altitude due to absence of particles. Since in the atmosphere, since there is no atmosphere, so no particles will be present, so no scattering will take place. So the sky will appear dark to the astronaut in the space. So these are the questions which can be asked for your exams, right? Now we have the last topic of this chapter, color of the sunrise and sunset. Do you know what is the color of the sun during the sunrise and the sunset? Yes, it is red in color. During the sunrise and sunset, we can see that the sun is red in color. So why it is so? While sunset and sunrise, the color of the sun and its surrounding appears red. Okay, during sunrise and sunset, what will happen? The sun and its nearby area, that is its surrounding, will appear red to us. Why it is so? During sunset and sunrise, the sun is near to horizon. Okay, during the time of sunrise and sunset, the sun will be near to the horizon, and therefore the sunlight has to travel larger distance in atmosphere. Okay, during sunrise and sunset, what happens? The sun is near to the horizon, and sunlight has to travel larger distance in the atmosphere. Due to this, most of the blue light is scattered away by the particle. The light of the longer wavelength reaches our eyes. This is why sun appears red in color. So what happens? Since the sunlight has to travel larger distance, so what will happen? The blue light will be scattered away by the particles. The particles which are present in the atmosphere, they will scatter away the blue light, and the red light which reach to us. That is why sun appears red to us Now you can see over there the observer is standing on the earth. This is the position of the earth, okay, during afternoon, and this is the position of the earth during the sunrise or the sunset. We can say the sun near the horizon. This is the horizon, this is a straight line, it is the horizon. And blue, and the distance between when it is in afternoon, during afternoon, it is over our head, right? Around 12 o'clock it is over our head. That time the distance between the sun and the observer is less, so less blue scattered, the blue color will be scattered less that time. But when it is away from us, when the distance between the sun and the observer is large, what happens? The blue scattered away, sun appears red. That time the blue light will be scattered by the particles and the red light will reach to us, and so the sun will appear red to us during the sunrise and the sunset. So this answer you have to write in your notebook when you will write this question. Okay, so with this we have finished the chapter Human Eye and the Colorful World. Once you go through the video and read your textbook once, if you have any doubt you can comment in the comment section. I will try to clear your doubt. If you want the question answers of this chapter, you can comment in the comment section. I will upload the question answers also for you. Thank you for watching my channel Science Learning Gateway. If this tutorial is helpful for you, then please like it and share it with your friends also. Don't forget to click on the bell icon, and you can also connect with me through my Facebook page. The link I will provide in the description box. Thank you for watching.